Led McConkey.
6'1", bitch.
Georgia. Wide receiver, 5'11" and 5/8 inches, 186 pounds. 8 5/8 inch hands, 30 1/4 inch arms, 72 inch wingspan. He's 22. He'll be 23 in November. He ran a 4.39 with a 1.52 10-yard split. That was the 40-yard time, sorry. In the 20-yard shuttle at his pro day, I got a couple of different numbers. One was like a 3.94. The other was a 4.04. You know how pro days are.
Yeah.
The 3-cone was 6.72, though. Very impressive. A broad jump of 124 inches. Bench press 13 reps. Vertical 36 inches. Last year in 9 games, he had 30 receptions, 478 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns, 2 rushes for 38 yards, and an additional touchdown. Rich, take the floor,
Stronger
man.
than Brian Thomas. 2 more reps. Listen, I came away...
His face.
Absolutely.
This is a guy.
This lad right
This
here
lad.
is.
You think he's
is
Irish?
your conch.
You think he's Irish?
Yeah,
buddy?
what gives it away? He to me this screams PPR monster. PPR stud. I absolutely loved his tape. I came away. I watched all the film I could possibly get my hands on because he's my wide receiver 4 in this class. He's right
so
behind.
far.
So far. But honestly, like if somebody passes him up, kudos, because this is something I'm very excited about. This is my, outside the running backs where they go, where I was saying 1.9, like if I have 1.9, I'm very excited to get, like, I don't feel like there's a drop off to me because I'm really excited about getting Lad McConkey. This is a player I hope and I think should sneak into the first round of the NFL draft. I know Jared said he didn't see a first round grade on him for NFL draft. I see somebody, man, that wins at all different levels. The way he explodes off the line is his burst is good. His fast. He's fast. He gets off the line so quick. He sinks his hips so well. He's an absolutely tremendous route runner. Mm-hmm. And not only is he a good route runner, his yards after the catch are really good too, because he shows that on tape. Like he gets the ball and he makes defenders miss. Like he's loose out there in that field. His short area quickness is absolutely tremendous. And obviously, you can see with his 40 time, he's fast. It also shows up in his gauntlet, which is why the gauntlet's one of my favorite drills, like how his speed showed up there in the gauntlet as well.
Absolutely.
I thought he tracked the ball really well. He could play on the slot. He could play outside. He could play anywhere you want him. He's constantly stacking his defenders and just making them miss and manipulating the defenders at all times. His route running is so crisp. Like it's such a good thing to watch. Like it's
it is good, man.
And what I love about players like him is they always translate to fantasy success because they always get open. Like they're always getting open. And listen, he's not the strongest guy. He had some injuries.
His numbers are kind of meh.
That's my biggest question about the dude. Like where was the actual production?
The problem is it's Georgia.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what I ended up in my brain saying. I was like, the problem is this is Georgia.
See, and that's why I don't like when I look at, that's why I'm a tape guy and I like watching tape because like tape, you're not hearing what down it is. You're not hearing anything. You're not hearing the stats. Like you're watching that player every time. And what I saw on tape translates to a fantasy football player. This is somebody that can win on all 3 levels, who can consistently get open, who I think I hope he goes in the back end of the first to a really, like him on the Chiefs would be gross. I think now on the Bills would be gross. I mean, there's a lot of situations where he can go to and find success. And then if somehow he slips the second round and goes to a place like the Chargers, like 6 to midnight all day, like,
oh, he'd fill the Keenan Allen role very well.
I mean, and what I loved about him is he was consistent, right? Like every snap, he is all in. Every single snap. And he blocks, he's giving effort downfield. Yep. Like he is all in every single snap. And he's exploding and showing that burst and speed and agility every single snap. I came away absolutely in love with this tape. I love this player. I think he's a stud. Now, saying that, like, I don't want to come out and say, this guy's a wide receiver 1. Now, if he turned into a wide receiver 1, like a year here and there, like it wouldn't shock me. But this guy is definitely, to me, screams wide receiver 2. Like he's a wide receiver 2 consistently for the next 8 to 10 years. Like, that's how good of a route runner he is. He's got good size. Like, he's not overly thick. Hopefully he can grow into that just a little bit. But he's 6 foot. I don't care what you say. He's 6 foot when you put the cleats on. He's 186, but you add a little bit of weight there. But, the fact that he has the size, he shows his broad jump 10 foot 4 inches. He shows how explosive he is there.
Yep.
His tape, I love it when I get excited watching somebody's tape. And I get excited about a player like this, and like he's one of those guys.
Listen, there are times that you're watching a guy, and there's one way that they win. They can only beat zone coverage, or you can only beat man coverage going deep. He wins in a lot of different ways, which is nice. He has all the underneath routes. He can gain separation just because he's got a ton of burst and quickness in and out of his breaks. But what I love is that he's smart enough to sit down in all the zones. He's very quarterback friendly, which is what we love as fantasy, people that play fantasy sports. You want to be able to show the numbers to a quarterback, get those cheap points, those quick points. So I do think he's a guy that is going to be able to gobble up PPR points pretty frequently, pretty easily. I don't know that he's going to be a wide receiver one. I think it would have to be a pretty perfect scenario for that to happen. Likely he's going to be a wide receiver 2. There might be a time when he starts off as a wide receiver 3, until he establishes himself in whatever offense he is getting himself into. And the reason I think that is, you look at his numbers, it's a numbers driven game. It took him a little bit to get established here. He only played 9 games last season, so last season's numbers are a little bit skewed. But I could see it. He starts off as a wide receiver 3, kind of works himself into a second, hey, you're the second option in the offense type of role. And that's when he could blossom into that wide receiver 2 and possibly touch wide receiver 1 numbers if everything goes crazy his way.
If Cole Beasley can kind of sneak in there.
That's what I mean. Like that's the
Wes
scenario.
That's
the scenario where it would have to be for him to get there, in my opinion.
And that's what I'm saying. I want to bring it back a little bit. I'm like, this guy's a wide receiver 1. I don't want to say that, but this is somebody. He's a championship caliber player. That, like, if he's your wide receiver 3 on your team,
you're doing great.
You're doing great.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So it's. I mimic and will say a lot of the same things, so I'm not going to repeat myself that Rich already said, but he's great in and out of breaks. He's very crisp route runner. He's good with the ball in his hands. He's good in zone coverage or, against zone coverage, just kind of sitting down in those areas. So there's not a lot to knock the guy. I mean, he's a little bit on the small side, but he's not small. He's 5'11" and 5'8".
There's a couple plays where he made with the ball in his hands, like his yard after catch, where he made defenders look silly. Like, I wish I could remember what team it was to, where he made 3 he ran for a touchdown and he caught it probably at the 30.
He's a creator.
And made 3 different defenders just look silly.
He's a creator with the ball in his hands.
Yes.
Like we talked about Brian Thomas and even Marvin Harrison Jr. They'll get what's there. He's a guy that can create something. So he's a completely different type of wide receiver.
Not quite to the Malik Neighbors level, but
no.
But I had a really healthy score on him. He got a 76 for me, which is a really solid score. Just for reference, I mentioned it before, but 78.78 for Malik Neighbors, which is top 10 all time. So 76,
pretty good,
pretty good number there.
Nice.
Overall. A lot of the stuff you said, I echo. I think one of the things that I feel good about Lad McConkey is he's the type of player that is less risky than some of the other players.
Correct.
Now, maybe he doesn't have as much upside as some other guys, but the floor is so high with him that you feel really good about drafting him. You know that you're going to be able to, at some point, maybe it's not as a rookie, but in the near future, be able to plug him into your lineup. It is going to consistently get you points. And he seems like a next level processor. You see it in the open field because I don't think he has crazy moves, but it's almost like he's reading things like a running back does. Mm-hmm. So it's really interesting to watch him play. But even with his moves, you can tell that he is a student of the game, and you can tell that he spent time watching his opponents because he does little things to get his opponents that I'm assuming, and this is an assumption on my part, but weaknesses in their game, nuances that the DBs had.
That's a good call.
That I think he's able to exploit those things because it seems like even though it doesn't seem like he's moving at a breakneck speed like some of these other guys are, he's always open and he's always creating separation. So it really seems like, I don't know what his like testing scores, his cognitive numbers and all of that, but it seems like his ability to be able to process the game is just at a different level than other guys.
And I think some of that shows up in his own stuff because he knows
he always knows where to be.
He knows instinctively that spot right there is open. I got to go there. I got to go turn right, show my numbers to the quarterback, and bam, the ball's right on him. You know what I mean? So that I do think he's got a lot of elements that will translate pretty quickly. I don't think it's going to be a huge learning curve for him to go to the NFL and kind of have some success. But at the same time, I don't. Draft capital, what are you guys hearing, seeing?
I'm
what do you
hearing
think?
possibly late first, if not very high second.
Then it won't take long for him to get established. As long as I think, yeah.
I've read him. I've seen him go to the Chiefs at the back end of the first. I've seen him go to the Bill. I've seen him go in some mock drafts because it's real. You see Adonai Mitchell, you see Troy Franklin, you see Xavier Worthy. Like it's a hodgepodge of guys go there. But if he doesn't go in the first, he's going very high second, like top 10 in the second. So he's going to a good situation regardless. Either going to a team that's established or he's going to a team that needs help.
Well, that's good because, sometimes I see stuff on tape that I love, and, this is my first time doing scores as far as the nerder. And sometimes it lines up with draft capital. Sometimes it doesn't. Yeah. But it sounds like this one at least gets I have a fairly good score for him as well.
Is he your wide receiver 4 so far of the guys we watched?
Of the guys that we've watched and talked about, he's actually 3 because I have him ahead of Brian Thomas.
Well,
Dunze. Okay, then 4.
Yeah,
I have another guy.
You have Mitchell 4.
Huh?
Did you have Mitchell 4?
I do, but we haven't talked about him, so that's why I wasn't counting him.
Tez Walker had to have been up there somewhere, didn't he?
Yeah.
There's other guys to talk about, like the guys that we're going up coming talk that could probably challenge him are going to be like Xavier Worthy, Troy Franklin. Adonai Mitchell is going to be one of those guys that could kind of come in here. I'm missing somebody else too, right? It's gotten a lot of first grade.
Keon Coleman, he's getting some. I
love Brian Thomas. A lot of people.
So, what do you think?
Just some names for our combined nerd score for who Lad McConkey is around. Is T. Higgins, Zay Flowers, George Pickens, Jordan Addison, Chris Olave. So some really good numbers. Some really good guys there. So, just looking at that, I was texting back and forth with Rich the other night, and I said that I don't see a first-round grade on him, but, now looking at just how the numbers kind of spit out, I like to see that. And, those guys, most of them are first-round picks. So, kind of like what Rich is saying, late first, early second, I can definitely see that. One of the best route runners in the class, easily can win on the outside, can win on the inside. I like that. I think he's more of like a wide receiver 2 within an offense. That's just how I kind of see him almost like a Chris Olave, actually, like the way that he plays. I like him just like you guys. My only knock on him was I saw him double catch a lot, like his hands. I don't know if you guys saw the same thing.
No, I didn't see that at all.
I saw a couple. I wouldn't say I saw a lot.
He didn't have a super high grade for me on his hands, but it was still not bad. He didn't see him make.
I don't think he dropped hardly anything.
Just didn't look as.
I thought I saw neighbors drop more than I saw him drop.
I didn't see him drop. A 7.
I think I saw him drop.
He got a 7 in that category for me. It's not bad. So anyway, I'm right there with you guys on Lad. He got almost a 74 for me. So
nice.
Good grade. I like him. I think right now he's my wide receiver 4, I believe. 5.
Only credited with 2 drops.
Wide receiver 5.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw a note on here too. I thought I saw in Lance Zierlin when he does his scouting reports. He always talks to scouting people.
Yeah,
it's funny now that you say that because I have a note on here that says from his scouting report says from an NFL scouting director, really smart. You can tell he watches a ton of tape with how good he is at picking up on how to attack guys he's facing.
Love it.
That's from an NFC NFL scouting director. So that's.
He was probably quoting me, but that's fine. I'll let the NFC scout take it.
So good prospect. To me, locked in the first round of your rookie drafts is a better way to say it. Forget the NFL drafts. To me, he's locked in. Right now, I would probably take him right around pick 9. After running backs get drafted, probably right around pick 10 around there. But which is great because if you're a contender, you're getting somebody like who I said earlier, if he comes in as your wide receiver 3, you're in a good spot. So if you're a contender, this is a great guy to go out there and get.
Yep, it is a nice spot.